Hey, man, when I start swinging around to these training camps, I get a little nostalgia. You know, I was never that guy, but they have these moments in training camp where people do things that you don't even like see in the game sometimes. What was sort of that I'm him moment that you saw a guy and you said, okay, this dude's different than everybody else?
Oh, easy for me. My man, Buddy, Junior Seau. I get to camp with the Dolphins, 3rd round pick, come in, the OTAs and all that start, so I'm out there. And I said it like I was the weak link because it was Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas, Junior Seau, and myself with the 4 linebackers. And I'm studying the playbook. I'm getting the playbook down. I'm doing all the stuff, getting all the checks, all the verbiage of everything. First padded practice, Junior just runs up and starts yelling, apple, 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 apple. And I didn't know what was going on because there was no apple check. I found out that he would just yell out words. The first letter is the gap he's about to blitz in.
That's dope.
Apple, Baby, and Charlie. And no matter what the call was, no matter what was going on, what defensive set schematics we were in, if Junior Seau saw something that he could take advantage of, and it was in the A gap, he'd yell Apple, Baby, B gap, Charlie, C gap, and he would make a play every time.
Greatness.
12-time All-Pro, Hall of Famer, first ballot. But when I saw what he was doing, and I didn't know how he was doing it, I said, this is why he's Junior Seau. And this late in his career, this is after San Diego. This is when he got to Miami. But that's when I said, okay.
He one of them ones.
Yeah, this is a normal human being. This is a normal football mentality. So I would say Junior Seau was the first person I saw that I was like, okay, that's not normal.
Well, my story isn't as good as that one, but Jimmy Smith, you know, we're talking about training camp. I've never seen a receiver just do the things he did. You know, just being able to cut on a dime, the way he ran his routes. You know, and Jimmy wasn't a 40 guy. You know, some guys are blazing in the 40, combine. Jimmy was never that guy. Jimmy probably was a 4-5 on the clock. But you put that ball in the air, Jimmy, every bit of a 4-2, whatever. I've seen him punish some of the greatest cornerbacks that ever played, a lot of Hall of Fame guys. But in specifically the training camp, nobody can cover him. Like, he made my job easier. People would always say, Freddie T did this or that or whatever. Jimmy created a lot of cover 2 looks for me. And it was my job to punish the 7-man front. So we worked so well together, and we would call each other mirror images once I realized who I was as a player, because it took me a while. If you talk to the people in Jacksonville, I was considered a bust all through preseason. And not until the 4th preseason game against this Dallas Cowboys team, I scored a touchdown in garbage duty. But not even then, I didn't think I was the guy. But after the 3rd game of the season against the Ravens, James Stu went out, unfortunately, with an ACL. I jogged in, and Tony Baselli was like, Grace, here comes this rookie. My very first carry was a 39 toss to the left, cut it back to the right, 52-yard later, touchdown, didn't know what to do with the ball. At that moment, I said, all right, I got something. And me and Jimmy would just look at each other, 28, 82, mirror images. He was like, Deuce, I need you. And I called him Deuce right back. But Jimmy's like that, so underrated, one of the best receivers to ever play the game. And he is him. For the people who don't know, Jimmy's him for sure.
Mine is definitely S. Sean Taylor. When I got picked up by Washington at the time, I was only picked up because he got hurt. And Joe Gibbs had a mini camp the day or 2 days before training camp because he was old school. Joe Gibbs came back to be the coach. And I remember sickle cell trait thing. I was about to pass out in the first practice, and it was the first time he'd ever talked to me. And Sean walks over to me. He's like, man, you got to get up. You got to get up. He's like, if you don't get up, man, they're going to cut you. And at the time, I was such a fan of him, right? Because I remember him from college. You know, at this point, I'm 24. I just got cut. I didn't believe in myself. College, 10 interceptions. He had like 3 tubs. Remember, he was like flipping dudes from Florida State. They were spinning, diving in the end zone, scoring touchdowns. And like that team had so many stars. It was Sean Springs was a top 3 pick. LeVar Arrington was there. And this was like Pro Bowl LeVar Arrington. LeVar Arrington that jumped over the pile at Illinois, put Troy Aikman to sleep. Yep. And ended his career, right? And so we had this disruption board that Greg Williams was like, every day, the top of the disruption board was like the guy. And every day Sean was at the top of it. One hand picks, we get in one-on-ones. I'm trying to find a third string tight end. He covering Santana Moss, because he was just that good. And man, I just remember we get to the first preseason game, and it's the Hall of Fame game. And they try to throw a deep ball. Sean picks it off. Then later on in the first half, they throw a little boot. He picks it off. It's a pick six. He got the ball behind his back. He high steps into the end zone. And you got to remember, at this time, LeVar was one of them ones. Like, he got hurt, so people don't remember. And I just remember after Sean picked the second ball off, LeVar starts running down the sideline screaming, "I told him, we got one, we got one." And it was like, you think somebody's a certain thing, and you see it from afar, and then you get an opportunity to see it up close, and it's actually better. Like, everybody saw what he was able to do in games, whether it was at Miami or if it at Washington. He did things at practice that first 2 weeks of me knowing him that I still haven't seen people do. And you know, you'll call home and be like, "Man, you gotta see this dude, like, this is crazy." And then when he caught the first pick, it was like, oh, he kind of threw the ball up. But when he caught the second one, man, and he went to the end zone, you could tell, like, he already knew that that's who he was and he was him, but he felt like he had to go out and prove it every day. And that was the time that I felt like he had an opportunity to show the world. So, I mean, he gonna be him forever for me. And so I think that was the moment I was like, okay, dude, different.